En votre nom, je voudrais remercier le ministre Virani, ministre de la Justice et procureur général du Canada. On voudrait aussi, moi et ma collègue Victoria, s'excuser auprès des gens. Je sais qu'il y a plusieurs personnes qui voulaient poser des questions. Donc, on s'excuse pour les gens. C'est notre travail de progresser et de respecter notre ordre du jour. So, merci. So, I need your attention. I need your attention, everybody. J'ai besoin de votre attention, tout le monde. Incluant les aînés, bien sûr. OK. Excusez. Oui, merci beaucoup. Merci pour votre attention. Thank you for your attention. C'est mon plaisir et mon honneur de vous présenter une bonne amie à moi, une madame que je respecte énormément et qui se dévoue depuis plusieurs années pour faire avancer notre cause commune. Et je voudrais, avec votre permission, vous présenter l'honorable Michelle Taina Odette, sénatrice sénatrice au Sénat du Canada, voilà, c'est ça. Donc, honorable Michelle Taina Odette. Oui. Bonne main d'applaudissement.
Oui, c'est vrai. Merci beaucoup. Je suis contente qu'on ait un léger retard. Ma fille Awastia était perdue dans le downtown de Montréal. I know you're using the machine, you laugh or you speak French. Kwe, Miama. Bonjour. Comment vous vous sentez aujourd'hui? Comment ça se brasse là, dans le cœur et dans l'esprit? Kim Burley, je t'aime d'amour. T'es hot. You're awesome. Alors, j'invite les gens à utiliser la traduction simultanée. I'm inviting people to use those machines so you're going to have a better presentation with a male or a woman voice, because I will speak another colonial language, French, because there is my grandmother in this room. Ma grand-mère spirituelle est ici dans la salle, alors je vais parler en français pour toi, Pénélope. I hope you still like me if I speak French. I still believe that Innu-Emun est ma première langue. Je crois beaucoup que le Innu-Emun qu'on m'a enlevé ou empêché reste ma première langue, ma langue officielle. Nipuhogadot Inut Ude Utasiwa. Merci beaucoup au peuple de m'accueillir ici. Merci infiniment. J'arrive de la Mouchouanepi, juste à côté du village de Mary May Simon, Kuchusudouak, vraiment loin, le pays du caribou. À chaque année, je pars à la Mouchouanepi. Et cette année, j'ai accepté de quitter le Mouchouanepi par amour, par respect, mais par responsabilité lorsque j'ai reçu l'invitation de Kimberley. C'était possible de faire un Zoom, mais je n'aurais pas eu tant de câlins, d'amour, d'échanges, de rires ou de pleurs avec ceux et celles que j'ai connus depuis ma jeunesse. Je suis la fille d'Evelyne Saint-Onge. Elle est toute petite, une Innu, elle est cute. C'est aussi une expansionnaire. Je suis aussi la fille de Girodette, blanc, vraiment blanc, grand, qui pour lui, le Québec devrait être un pays. Mais je suis aussi la petite fille de Marie-Régis, Marie Saint-Onge, qui a été interprète et traductrice pour les curés, pour la communauté religieuse. Je n'ai pas été au pensionnat. J'ai été à l'école de jour. Les mêmes curés, les mêmes sœurs, les mêmes prêtres, le même système. Arracher mon inouïmoun, mon identité, ma fierté, ma dignité, comme tous ceux et celles qui ont malheureusement traversé ces événements, ces tragédies, depuis les pensionnats. On nous a appris que la parole, c'est notre vérité. On nous a appris que les récits sont notre vérité. Et moi, on m'a appris pendant l'enquête nationale sur les femmes et filles autochtones assassinées et disparues que nous étions des étoiles. Petite étoile, je choisis Evelyne et Gilles. J'ai voulu sortir du ventre de ma mère dans le train pour aller à Schefferville. On a trouvé l'hôpital la plus proche, Wabush. Donc, je suis aussi issue d'un territoire qu'on appelle le Labrador. Je suis retournée dans ce petit train-là à peine quelques jours de vie sur Terre, dans lequel on a un wagon pour les sauvages et un wagon pour les Blancs. Je suis née en 1971. Et ce wagon pour les sauvages, il a existé jusqu'en 1989. J'étais tannante, j'allais dans le wagon des Blancs pour déranger déjà, toute petite. On a normalisé cette violence institutionnelle, ce racisme, cette ségrégation. On l'a normalisé. On a normalisé la violence sexuelle, physique, mentale et spirituelle. Mais nos chemins de portage sont lourds et difficiles. On a réussi à avoir de l'espoir à chaque fois. Une lueur d'espoir pour aller vers une guérison. On n'a pas choisi d'être militant. J'ai pas choisi d'être militant. Ça s'est imposé à nous comme ça s'est imposé à moi. Ce racisme s'impose. Et maintenant, nous, dans notre guérison, on lutte, on dénonce, on shake, on brasse. On se regroupe comme dans le temps, comme à la Mouchouanepi. On se regroupe entre familles, entre groupes, entre nations, et on se regroupe aujourd'hui pour encore affirmer notre parole, notre récit, notre vérité, et soutenir le travail de Kimberly et toute son équipe. J'ai été amenée à faire une enquête nationale très difficile, la suite du travail de toi, Marie, avec Vérité et Réconciliation, à écouter des milliers de femmes et hommes qui ont perdu un être cher, qui sont ici aujourd'hui pour avoir perdu un être cher, une fille, quelqu'un qu'on aime, mais aussi parce qu'on a vécu les pensionnats. Vous avez toute mon admiration puis mon amour. Pendant une enquête, on apprend à écouter, à recevoir, à brasser les fantômes qui nous attaquent parce que, comme commissaire, nous aussi, on a des traumatismes de ce lourd passé. Mais le cadeau que les femmes et hommes nous donnent, c'est la responsabilité qu'on a sur nos épaules. Comment amener des paroles des familles, des gens, des récits qu'ils nous ont partagés, la rage, la peur, l'espoir, l'amour, la crainte, dans un rapport. De prouver encore qu'il y a des injustices, que c'est un génocide sexuel, un génocide contre les femmes, un génocide contre les enfants, un génocide culturel, un génocide qui fait mal, encore aujourd'hui. Une analyse juridique dans un jargon de fonctionnaire pour que les gens comprennent. On vous dit dans vos mots, ça va pas bien. On vous dit dans vos mots que c'est ça. On va même faire un rapport pour le Québec, juste pour le Québec, parce que des fois, le Québec va penser que ça va bien ici. I know some of you don't use, but that part I'll say in English. With the National Inquiry, we did a report specifically for Quebec because sometimes displaced believe that everything goes well, that there's no systemic racism. Can you imagine? There's no genocide here. So we did something just for them and for us. Et à cause de ce rapport et le travail d'Anne Panassa quand elle était journaliste et d'autres gens de l'enquête et de l'émission Enquête, on oblige une province à mettre une loi qui va donner accès à de l'information, qui va donner de l'accès aux familles qui n'ont pas compris pourquoi mon enfant malade va sortir en avion, ambulance, en hélicoptère, en canot, en bateau, ou peu importe, et moi, comme mère, je n'ai pas le droit d'aller à l'hôpital, et plus tard, je ne parle pas français ni anglais, juste ma langue, à moi, l'inuimun, l'atikamekw ou d'autres langues, et on me dit, si j'ai été capable de l'entendre, que mon enfant est décédé. Où est mon enfant? Ici, on a entendu des familles nous dire « Bébé 1, bébé 2, bébé 3 sont disparus, sont jamais revenus. On pense qu'ils sont enterrés. Aujourd'hui, il y a un stationnement, il y a un édifice. On pense qu'il y a une fosse commune. On ne sait pas sont où nos enfants, nos bébés. » Alors, on va mettre un appel à la justice, 20, dans le rapport, pour forcer le gouvernement du Québec à ouvrir ses archives, ses documents. Et plus tard, cette loi arrive dans laquelle, cet après-midi, vous pouvez en savoir plus avec Anne Panasok et bien sûr l'équipe de Awashak. Très difficile pour ces familles, très difficile pour la société de croire que c'est arrivé. Alors, pendant ce temps-là, on est sollicité, les anciens commissaires, les femmes autochtones du Québec, les chefs. Parlez-nous des enfants disparus. Non. Les plus forts qui peuvent vous parler de ça sont les familles qui ont été touchées. Je suis un outil. Je n'ai pas perdu un enfant. Les familles sont fortes, elles sont incroyables et elles vont vous dire leur vérité. Comment faire en sorte qu'on ait les outils nécessaires, les ressources nécessaires et bien sûr, la voie pour vous changer la mentalité dans l'institution québécoise. Je dis merci aux alliés qui ont marché à côté des familles pour faire en sorte qu'aujourd'hui, elles sont dans un processus d'avoir des réponses. Mais la victoire n'est pas là. Les gouvernements changent. Les gouvernements font tout pour ne pas nous donner ce qu'on a droit d'avoir, la vérité. Alors, pour conclure, je vous dirais, le système, il est là pour nous empêcher. Le système a créé des murs pour nous empêcher d'avoir accès à. On peut défoncer un mur de béton. On peut briser un mur de béton. On peut contourner. Mais ce qui est difficile, c'est les murs de racisme, du déni, des biais inconscients et conscients qui sont plus difficiles à défaire. Mais je vous dirais, avec la persévérance, ce que j'ai observé, ce que j'ai entendu ou ce que j'ai ressenti depuis bien des générations qui ont marché ou des gens qui m'ont partagé, ça fait 10 000 ans qu'on est ici. It's been 10,000 years that we are here, and we are still here, and we're not giving up. Many of us are making sacrifice, getting inside a space that are not welcome or made sure that we do not exist anymore. And when I was 28 years old, I said one day, why should I go to the Senate? It's all old people, white. I guess I was racist also, or I had bias. They don't understand. So I went and spoke about the Indian Act. And I came back and I said to Diane Soroka, when I'll be old, I want to be at the Senate to change the system within the system, change the Indian Act. But I didn't know that one day, when I was 50 years old, 2 years ago, I was going to be appointed. I didn't know. I applied, I was refused, I was told this, I was told that, and finally, I got that call. Many of us go inside, knowing that it's not our protocol, it's not our justice system or culture or way of, but we're going inside to make sure that we are influencing. I do that. But I didn't know it was only the Indian Act that time. Today, it's the call for justice, call for action, many reports, many voices, many truths that we brought over the century that I'm trying to elevate. You do research, you do studies, or you do collect in your own ways what happened to your loved ones, what happened to those places that we strongly believe that maybe our relatives are there. Keep doing that. Bring probably few places that want to decolonize, but you are the leaders on that, not the university, even though they want to work with you, not the non-Native organization, but if they are ally, use them, work with them, as long you stay the leader, as long that they follow your protocols. And I want to say, when I was appointed during COVID, I was alone in the Senate, and I said, I want to have an office in that old building, because we're asked, where do you want to have your office? And they were surprised. I said, le vieil édifice de l'Est, East Block building, I think we say in English. And simple was that John A. MacDonald office is there. I was walking all those floors thinking that I would see a statue of bronze or copper. It was a black and white picture. I put my hand on his picture, maybe because of COVID, I was like this, and not like this. And I said, watch me. I was crying. I said, you try to erase us. You try to make sure that we do not exist, but watch, you miss your shot. I'm standing. We are standing, and thousands of us are standing. So with love, I want to say to you, yes, some of us are inside. Many of us are outside or surrounding or around those places that try to erase us or slow down the empowerment that we have and the passion or dedication of our people that we push every day. And we shake and challenge that system. So I'm your ally, I'm your sister, I'm clumsy, I'm human being, but I'm your friend full of love. Merci beaucoup.
Honorable Michèle Audette, sénatrice, merci beaucoup d'être parmi nous aujourd'hui. Et aussi, on vous souhaite bon courage et bonne santé et continuez à faire résonner nos voix auprès des principaux interlocuteurs. Merci beaucoup encore une fois. Chenesh Komiten.
I know I'm very biased when I talk about Michelle. She's a very dear friend of mine, but isn't she absolutely right when she talks about John A. MacDonald? He missed his shot. We're still here. I could listen to her forever. So we're going to fix our sign here. Apparently we're looking a little crooked. And we've invited our survivors from this morning's panel back up to the stage. We have approximately 30 minutes for questions, and Michelle has agreed she'll stay with us for the next 30 minutes to answer your questions. So again, we have the 3 microphones, number 1 towards the wall, number 2 in the center, number 3 against the doors. We ask that you be respectful of time and want to ensure we provide an opportunity for everyone to speak. We realize we didn't have the opportunity to entertain everybody's questions in the last question period. Also a reminder, if you would like to share your personal experience or provide a statement, that the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation is here over the course of our gathering to collect statements, and you can visit their booth located on the 3rd floor in the foyer to register. So we have about half an hour left for questions here. This will take us right to lunch. We'll just give our survivors a moment to install. Okay, so we're ready. And I see microphone number 2, 1, 2, and 3. I'll start with number 2 again. State your name, please, and your question.
Oni, I'm Dana Hickey. My question is for Madame Audette. And so Madame Audette was a commissioner, she was involved in the national inquiry. And so then I know from my experience, having grown up with Indian residential school survivors, and also from being a missing and murdered Indigenous woman survivor myself, that the programs that are being delivered there are similarities here. And so I'm of course interested in that. Although I can't talk a lot about that right now, I just do want to ask, because when the inquiry was going on, also under Prime Minister Trudeau's watch, the inquiry started when he got into office as Prime Minister. there was a lot, it was very contentious. And a lot of the advocates were not treated well, and not everything was able to be said, the work didn't proceed the way that we'd like to see, and in the media it was really, really a spectacle. And so then, and now that there's the report, unfortunately, like I'm getting here now and I'm seeing problems in the report. In particular, my recent example is 2.53, the recent appointment of an Indigenous corrections officer, or maybe I'm not saying that quite right, but it's an Indigenous corrections thing. Where did this come from, and who comes up with that? Why do we have this? I'm thinking we may need another review of these of the recommendations to make sure that they're all on the level. You know what I'm saying? And I want to just hear Madame Audette's thoughts on that. Miigwech.
OK, parfait. So the 251 plus call for justice were discussed, debated, because we collected 10,000 recommendations. And then with many family members that were mentoring me and mentoring, I'm pretty sure, the other commissioners, was making sure how do we combine or cross or bring together, which one we elevate. And from that, some we had to let go, some we had to put back more a priority. So it was built, I would say, debated, and we didn't win every battle among us, but it came there. So for me, it was precious that I do not put words in the mouth of people that were mentoring me or walking beside me with me. And sometimes we were mad because we didn't have what we want. But let's not forget, any calls, action, justice, or other report that are coming, sometimes it's because there's a crisis in the moment or there's a momentum. But for me, I believe that we need to, there's a foundation, and if we want to be creative for our Indigenous government or a place that we want to abide some of them or embrace, we're allowed to modify it. But where we're not allowed, it's to stop pushing any level of government to not respond to the call for justice or call for actions.
Merci, Michelle. Microphone number 1 by the wall. Please state your name and your question and who it's directed to.
My name is Hans Dipka. Question to Michelle Audette. First, a comment. I'm glad she talked about the concrete walls that she's experienced from the government. My comment is on rule of law. Canada maintains that this is a country of rule of law, and I'm wondering what the Senator can do to help the Indigenous people with access to information, access to medical files, which have been requested for many years now, and yet they still don't seem to be able to get access to these medical records. And if the hospital is holding information that could show that they are criminally responsible or an indictable offense, and you can't get access to your medical records, how do you prove anything? That's all. Thank you.
Short and sweet. I know in the report of Kimberly, it's mentioned to have access to archives, reports, information, and so on. I'm blessed. There's another senator, Senator Brian Francis, who speaks more English than me. He understood the same thing. And from that, we will push. How do we access? It's not the first time we hear about that. And how we will crunch this in a way that the government has the responsibility, the accountability, or the obligation, it's something that it's working on. As an example, we're pushing to create or to have a space ombudsperson or something that will force the government to report annually. And if it's a challenge or a place that we don't have access, they will have to tell us why they don't give the information. I know it's a long shot, but today I don't have the magic answer, but enough energy to make sure that when we come back in September, we are starting in a week and a half, Brian, myself, and other people will ask those questions. So connect with us after. Or easy to find me on the website.
Thank you, Michelle. Microphone number 3.
Hello, it's for Michelle Odette. My name is Angela Bardosh. My mother was part of the MKUltra CIA brainwashing experiments funded by the Canadian government, the US, and as well through the McGill complex from the 1940s to 60s. As a survivor family, and my mother is a survivor of this, she's still suffering from the brain injury that she had occurred and trauma that she will live for the rest of her life through this process and through having been part of these experiments. During that period, there were many experiments across the entire country on Indigenous, and also just through the linkages between the governments, the army, and so forth in terms of collecting data and collecting information. Of course, during the thing of having these medical records is so poignant because every little person is such an important part of creating the big picture of what had occurred. In your mandate as senator, how will you as well understand your plight and your mission and your purpose? I'm also guided on my end too in solidarity together with the Mohawk Mothers for the uncovering of the grave sites at the Allen Memorial Institute. There were children that were involved in these programs, not only in Montreal, but across many of the churches, which eventually were deemed, a lot of the children were deemed mentally incapacitated.
Please ask your question.
It's how are you going to assist in this in your power as senator to insist that the medical records, that truth, and the proper reconciliation is occurring?
What I do each time I have a question like this, or somebody send me an email, because it gets through email, I always say, do you allow me so I can send your message or your question or your demand to the proper department or minister, and we stay in touch. And as soon as I have the okay, I don't stop. We don't stop. It could be on a mid or long term, because I want to be honest with you, a study, something that we can advocate, but that's one thing. But immediately, if I get an official, from you, I can send it to the minister, or the minister, I'm CC'd, and after that, we don't stop asking questions. I have 2 colleagues in my little cute office, but awesome and warriors, so we don't give up.
So I'll be in contact with you. Thank you very much.
Microphone number 1 by the wall, please. State your name and who you're addressing your question to.
Thank you. My name is Hudson, and I'm addressing my question to Michelle. Thank you for the truth that you were able to share today. It's apparent to me that, and it also comes from a lot of the elders that we work with in Lac Ouellams, that we need to address this as a whole, and that right now what we are seeing is the federal government only wants to talk about residential schools, or they separate it into boarding homes or day schools.
Right.
And as a community, we can't do that. We don't have that luxury. That's not something we're allowed to do. We have to treat our community as a whole. And it even goes beyond that when I start to learn about Hawaiian children being sent to Haida Gwaii to attend residential school. And is there even a residential school on Haida Gwaii? There was industrial schools. So why are we not talking about industrial schools? Why do we not talk about boarding homes, right? It's, as a whole, this entire thing. And I know of oral testimony from my elders with the Blackfoot and the Piegan, that children were sent from Saskatchewan down to Montana, and they never came back. So we not only were kids sent between the provinces, and the difficulties that creates with, now we need to be able to work with all of these different communities and the complexity of that. but we also have different countries that are now, their students are being involved, kids were being sent. I have also heard about children from Russia being sent to schools in Canada.
Please form a question.
What can the government do for that?
The government, I have no power. It's member of parliament, public servant. It's very, for me, clear that it's the government. At the Senate, it's something else. We're there for life. Like I'll be a kukum watching or reminding or flagging or pushing for legislation or having our own legislation. So the government, that question should be to them. But for us, where I want to grab something very important that you mentioned, the strategy, the diviser pour mieux régner, the dividing to divide, I don't know in English, là. That's an old strategy. So if we have something strong and official, let's say at the Senate, to remind again, and it become a tool for the advocate, the leaders, the indigenous government, more we are, stronger we are. So bug your member of parliament, shake him with love, but don't stop shaking him or her about the truth that you're searching. And that's my honest response. I don't have power on there. It belongs to them. But I watch.
So shake your member of parliament with love.
I don't know.
Nicely. Okay, just a reminder, we also have our courageous survivors up here who have shared their truth this morning and their stories with us, and they have graciously accepted to come up for this question panel. I know we're excited with Senator Michelle Odette here, but remember, we have our survivors. We have Norman and Emma and Angie ready to share with you. So I'm going to go over to mic number 3 against the wall here.
Thank you. My question is still for Michelle Odette. First of all, I want to thank all the elders for sharing their stories. I too have a history. My grandmother went through all that stuff, and I'm a third generation from residential school. So I'm aware of some things, but to come here and to hear all these deep stories is it's very hard to hear, but very, very proud of you for sharing those. So I want you to know that. But I'm the president of Northwest Territory Métis Nation now for Hay River, Fort Resolution, Fort Smith. I represent about 2,800 people. We're still doing our genealogy, and we're unique. We are on our own. We're not part of the National Métis Council. We are on our own, and we've been fighting for our land claims. And residential schools, compensation for all the harms that Canada has done is not being recognized by Canada for the Métis. We've been negotiating a claim. I've been there since 1997. It started in 1996. I've been doing this 27 years. And the claim hasn't gotten anywhere. There's always something new coming in. The Daniels case has been out there since 2016. 1982, Daniels won his first case to recognize our harvesting rights as Métis people. Took him that long, right, till 2016 to get the government to recognize that they have to take jurisdiction of the Métis. I still don't have my harvesting rights in the park. Canada turns a blind eye to that. We've been kicked out of the park in 1923, Wood Buffalo National Park. We're still dealing with that. So what we need from the Senate is to push the government. I know that you don't have control, but you do have a lot of say. You said you're going to amend that Indian Act. First thing is change that name. We were all one-time Dene people. We identified as who we were. We weren't Indians. That's why I take the name Métis, very proud. Sure, I got half and half in me, but I'm still from the same lands. We're the same people. So when you change that Indian Act, we need to be involved. We need to help define it so we can be reunited again as one people. settle our claims. That's something we need to do. You know, we're doing it as Métis. We were the only Métis in Canada for the longest time who had a table to negotiate for land claims. Only Métis. Now it's all the Métis National Council. They're all catching up, which is good, but ours is held back. Now they're bringing in the UNDRIP. We were almost ready to have a claim, but now UNDRIP, they want to deal with the compensation and all that. They want to throw it into our claims, adding 20 more years to what we've already done. It took us, I've been here 27 years. There's no benefits. I've got elders with me that have been here longer. We brought a delegation from these three communities.
Your question for Senator Odette, please.
Yeah, I've got to it twice already. But I just want to, you know, thank you. Very proud of the position you're in. But we need your support to help finalize Métis land claims, get the recognition of Métis equal to the First Nations, like the Daniel says, and let us implement the United Nations together. But in our time, not how you do it. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Caribou people, the Dene and my nation are connected by the Caribou also. So you're right. Thanks for the reminder. The power that we have, it's when a legislation from the government is coming to the chamber, our chamber, it's where your voice will be very important. Or if you have a bill that will bring your voice in a place that it will change what you're asking, you'll have some allies for sure at the Senate. So the conversation needs to continue. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Senator. So microphone number 2, your name and your question, who it's for, please.
My name is Anne Panasuk. I was a special advisor for the Quebec government regarding a groundbreaking law, Bill 79, that unlocks the medical files and the religious archives. I'm answering to, I think it was Brian. You should come this afternoon and hear our presentation about Bill 79 with the Families Association called Awashak. And this bill really unlocks the medical files. And it came because the pressure of INFADA, of Michel Odette, the report, Quebec report. So if there's a need for a question, Michel, are you satisfied with this bill? And should all provinces have the same? Pardon me?
N-O-N. It doesn't go far enough. Okay, it did open the files, but it has a beginning and an ending, which for me, we shouldn't have an ending because it's 100 years of lying to us, and they're giving you 8 years, 5 years, 10 years. So for me, no ending. And the sad part also with this bill, it says it says how my baby died, which sicknesses, but it doesn't say, or it doesn't force the Quebec government to say why the Quebecois woman was allowed to know of what her baby died and bring back the baby at home to do a proper ceremony, where our nation here wasn't allowed at all. So that bill, that part is missing.
Yeah, we've asked that it would be over 10 years, but should all provinces have the same law?
First Nation, Métis, and Inuit should have that discussion with each government across Canada on how they see accessing and how we honor those documents or those truths that was hidden and the impact that had on us and still on us today. So it should be there, but it has to come from us.
True.
Merci.
So our questions have taken a very political turn here, and I see Senator Brian Francis at microphone number 3, and I trust Senator Brian Francis will be asking a question of one of our 3 survivors here. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all, and good morning, everyone. Senator Brian Francis from Prince Edward Island. I'm former Mi'kmaq chief and currently chair of the Indigenous Peoples Committee in the Senate, along with my good friend Michelle. My question to the elders, and before I ask the question, I want to thank them so much for their powerful testimony this morning. Being a former Indian Day School survivor myself for 8 years, I can relate to some of what you've gone through, and I commend you for being so strong to present your story this morning. So my question is, and I sponsored the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation when it came to the Senate, and I was fortunate enough to play that small role. But my question to the survivors is, what would you like, what message would you like us senators to share with our colleagues and the broader public before the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation? And what message would you like to present?
Angie's going to start. He would like to know what message you would like the senators to bring back to the Senate.
On the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
On the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation. Excuse me. Thank you. National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
We have very hardships. We feel like we're being neglected. Nobody cares for us, and nobody comes to even question if we need help. We have asked so many times to the government that we needed healing. They promised us when they did the apology that they would bring us some help. Well, the help, I don't know where it is yet. It's like everything else. They're nothing but promises. If they're so sincere, and if they really want to help us, and that includes all Aboriginals, why don't they come to us? We have said and invited them over to us. Come to know who we are, then we'll know, and then maybe we can come to a solution. No, I don't know whether they're afraid of or they know too much. But I'll tell you, I don't have too much trust. And I'm sure, like the other survivors, many of them feel the same way. We've been so neglected, forgotten. But we still hope that someday we might get the right people. So I ask all of you, your children, education, let's get that Parliament open and we'll take care of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. It's like she always has a mic drop moment. Emma or Norman, would you like to...
OK. Ben, le 30 septembre, c'est une fête au niveau national, je crois. Je ne suis pas sûr, mais au Québec, on ne le fête pas. Ce n'est pas un jour férié. Vous êtes sénatrice, là? On ne fait pas faire... Est-ce que vous avez un certain pouvoir de... Pour le Québec, non. À qui je demande ça d'abord? Le go. Il n'est pas ici, le go. Ben, ce serait quand même à nous autres aussi. On est, combien qui sont de Québec, la province de Québec, dans la gang? On devrait tout envoyer un courriel à M. Legault que s'il se défend à cause de l'économie, ben c'est notre économie, ça, ce qui est en train de défendre, de ne pas avoir de congé férié reconnu. Moi, je pense que c'est un premier menteur du Québec, c'est lui, hein, qui promettait de s'occuper de nous autres, les Autochtones en général. Mais là, en oubliant de nous fêter, de nous mettre un jour spécial pour les Autochtones, pour avoir une meilleure réconciliation, je pense qu'il doit mettre le jour férié au Québec aussi. Il y a seulement 4 provinces dans le Canada qui ont accepté de mettre dans les jours fériés payés. S'il vous plaît. Hein? Pourquoi pas? Merci.
Donc, M. Normand, il nous a lancé un défi pour qu'on envoie un courriel à M. Legault qui insiste une journée fériée sur le 30 septembre. Merci, Normand. Emma.
Well, as you all know, I'm Inuit. And Inuit in Labrador, we have our own government, Nunatsiavut. And a member of Nunatsiavut, you have to live in the land claims area. If you don't live in the land claims area, you don't have no benefits. My children had their cards, and they had them all taken away from them because they don't live in the land claims area. What I don't understand, I don't know if this goes any, if you could help me or not, but no matter where you live in Canada, I'm still Inuit. And I don't understand how they can say, you live outside of your land claims area, you're not entitled to your benefits. And then they wonder why. We talk about residential school. And I said to the president of the Nunatsiavut, Johannes Lamb, I said, how can you tell me that I'm not Inuit? You take away my children's benefits, and you still talk about residential school. You're doing the same thing as the residential school did. You're taking away our benefits. He says, I don't understand. He said, I can't fix that. He said, I have membership people, boards that look after this. I said, but you're the president. You have control over the boards. And my children still lost their benefits because I live out of the land claims area. But still, we have Canadian constituency officers. We live out here one lives in Ottawa and another live in Edmonton. Try to tell them that my children lost their cars. I can't do anything about that. He said, you don't live in the land claims. I said, so what's the good of having Canadian constituency people living outside of the land claims area that can't help the people that live outside of Nain or Hopedale or Postville or all the northern communities? We all can't go back to our communities and live because they haven't got no housing down there now. There's no work. What are you going to do? Go down there and drink? They say you don't do any of your culture things. I said, how do you know I don't do any of my culture things? How do you know that my children don't do any of my culture? I teach them what I know. I'll ask the language through residential school. So I said, you're doing the same thing as residential school. But I never can get no headway with any of this. I can't. They keep telling me so, my children and my grandchildren, because I married what you call a white person, they said, you might be 12% yourself. I said, how dare you insult me and tell me that I'm 12%? I know who I am. My parents, 2 of my parents were Inuit. They spoke the language. I can't help it if my dad died when I was 10 years old and he lost it. And my mother, we had to go to residential school. And to this day, I have a daughter that's a diabetic. I have another daughter that got trouble with cancer cells. And all this costs money. And I know it's not all about money. It's about respect for your people. Why turn against your people? I know more about First Nations than I do about my own culture because through First Light, friendship centers across Canada, because I have attended a lot of them across Canada, and they help their people. But Inuit, do not see what government in Labrador. I think I know that they get funding from the federal government here in Ottawa, in Canada, but still, you have to live in the land claims area to get your benefits. And my great-grandchildren, you have to fill out another application when you're 19, the same application you started to do. I can't get no headway. I know people that still got their cards and they still live out of the land claims area. But anyway, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to get that off my chest. And so I think residential school, and it's all people, it's a letter of violence. It's still coming back. You're fighting against your own people because you're losing your benefits. And I know who I am, so that's what I live by every day, that I know who I am at least. But no one can take my culture away, take who I Inuit, and that's who I'll always be. One time I was ashamed of who I was because I was picked on so much and told I was garbage and all that stuff. But as a woman now, and I learned a lot on the way through a lot of hardships, but still, I come up here and I can talk about it. So I just hope things will change for Inuit that's living out of the land claims area. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma, for, as you say, getting that off your chest. That's speaking truth to power. Thank you for sharing that. We have time for one more question at microphone 2. Please state your name and who your question is directed to.
Dave Manuels, West of Kamloops, Swetnik. I'm one of the Koniiplas from the Kamloops community of the Kamloops. First of all, I want to thank the ancestral lands of the people here for welcoming us here and be able to host this very important work that we're doing here. My question is to the elders, the survivors. What are the words of encouragement that you can say to other survivors out there that haven't been able to start sharing their stories? Because I believe that the words that you shared today are really groundbreaking words that help so many people understand, and it's so very important in our healing process to speak the truth. So I'd like to hear from the elders on words of encouragement to other survivors. Kuksham. And at the end, I'd like to sing an honor song after they answer the question before we go for lunch, if it's possible.
Je vais répondre. Le manque qu'on a eu au pensionnat, on n'a pas eu d'amour. On a vécu des séparations affreuses. Même dans le pensionnat, il y avait une séparation. Ma sœur, qui était à l'autre bord des filles, moi du côté des garçons, je ne pouvais même pas aller le parler. Puis le prendre dans mes bras, tu dis, j'ai besoin d'affection. Ça, c'est la première chose que je dirais aux enfants qui sont mes enfants aussi, qui me suivent. J'essaie de leur donner de l'amour que j'ai manqué. Mais des fois, c'est comme, j'ai pas connu l'amour de mes parents à cause de ce maudit pensionnat-là. Je sais, demander de l'aide. Quand vous faites face à un obstacle que vous ne pouvez pas tout seul arranger, il y a de l'aide, j'en suis sûr qu'il y a de l'aide. J'ai encore des émotions à chaque fois que je parle d'amour. J'en ai manqué de l'amour. Mais c'est pour ça que j'ai dit, je ne suis pas toute seule, je pense, à avoir manqué de l'amour au pensionnat. Je t'aime, je vous aime, on s'aime. Ces mots-là, on ne les a pas connus au pensionnat. C'est ce message que je laisse, moi, je vous dis. quasiment comme Dieu, que je dirais, que Jésus, aimez-vous les uns les autres. C'est tout.
Any other comments? Emma, would you like to add to that? Any advice you would have? Any words of encouragement to survivors who have yet to share their stories?
All I can say is, the way I look at it is be truthful, be true to yourself, and I don't know, it's just, I have a hard time believing in myself still, but just trust in yourself and be true to yourself and be proud of who you are. And that's all that matters, I think, and be kind to people and respect people. If you show respect, you will get respect back. And reconciliation, I think we all have to work together to make this a better place for all people, to live in unity and in peace. And there's no matter where you live on this Mother Earth, I said we're all equal in the eyes of the Creator. And I said we shouldn't take away a car for medical reasons or anything like that. We should all share and be proud of who we are. And that's all I live by each day, and hope for the best. Because we're only here for a short time, and the way residential school is, you don't know, and we're all living with a lot of heavy hearts. And we all have problems. Some are heavier than others, and just help each other and be kind to each other. And that's how I live my life every day. And I just thank the Creator for where I'm at today, because being a residential school survivor, I never thought in a million years that I'd be in Montreal or anywhere in Canada standing up and talking, because I was stupid and I didn't know any better, and I wasn't going to be anything in life. But I mean, so be proud of who we are and just live for each day at a time. Thank you.
Hello? We were taught as children to be truthful. It was very difficult when we went to the convent and we found with nothing but lies. You know what it's like for a child to be taught one way and then be taught by the superior way? It was very, very confusing. But we knew in the hearts of hearts that our parents were right. Although we didn't say it out loud, but we used to speak to each other. And I guess we just sneaked it from the nuns. But I really believe that truth is our life. It's like being kind to someone, or else being honest. Honest is a virtue. But as a child, at home, with your own parents, it was wonderful. Absolutely. The worst thing we ever lost when we were in a convent was dishonesty. They were lying to us, and you know, children understand that stuff. They understand if you're wrong, understand if you're lying to them, and they lie to us all the time. And what the thing that really got us was that, for the love of God, I come to see you. I come to live here. I left my home. I left my country. And I come here to teach you savages in the right way. What kind of impression did you get? What kind of message did you get? And then they have enough nerve come and treat your parents like that, and then take your own innocence. How? How in the world can anyone? And today I still have trouble understanding, or never will, as how can anybody hurt a child? An innocent child. A child just discovering the world, bright, happy, and being erased. How many of our children, thousands of them, never felt, I love you. You're my daughter, I love you. You're my son. No, the truth is the way to go. Because no matter what ever happens, as long as you tell the truth, you know that you trust in your heart, and you know your children know that. But to be able to go over what we went through, I admire, I adore you, all the survivors, because I've talked to so many of you, and I've met so many here today too, and I felt safe, and I felt free since I'm 87 years old. And thank you, everyone.
Some key words of encouragement we've heard. Ask for help when you need help. Be true to yourself. Be kind and respect people, and you will get it in return. Be proud of who you are, and truth is the way to go. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So we've had a wonderful offer to share an honor song, and I think we need a song. Please share.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to say, Cook's Jam, thank you to the elders, the survivors, and for being able to help us in this and teach us this teaching moment. This song I'm going to sing is a Swepnik song. It comes from our nation. It's the honor song for the Swepnik people in BC, Canada. I'd like to, just to be able to sing this song in a good way. So Cook's Jam. Way-yo, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-yo, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-hi-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way-yo, hey-yo, way-hi-ya, hey-yo, way
way high, high, hey yo, way high, hey yo, way high, hey yo. Cook's Jam.